What's up everybody, Brett here, and we're back in Total War Warhammer 2. Going to be casting another subscriber battle today with one of our channel's favorite subs, Triiari, going up against Michelle. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in slow motion. So the two armies, we have of course Norska here, played by Triiari, and Michelle's going to be rocking Chaos Undivided, being led by Kholek Suneater, the Big Daddy himself. And these armies were interesting to me because I feel like they're kind of like mirror versions of each other for their respective races. They're very similar ideas behind their composition. Hard-hitting, armor-piercing infantry in the form of things like Marauder champions with great weapons on this side, as well as things like the Chaos Warriors with great weapons, Chosen with halberds, and just standard Chaos Warriors on the Chaos side. And functioning very similar to the Chosen with halberds is going to be the Famir with great weapons here for Norska. These guys are kind of like can opener units, very good armor piercing, very good at dealing with large targets, similar to the Chosen, obviously the Chosen being infantry, having way more unit models, but they don't have the same kind of mass that the Famir warriors do, which allows them to lock down targets like Kholek Suneater, like these chariots here, who would love to just be facing off against mass infantry, but Famir are great at tying them down, as are the Norscan Ice Wolves. So we can take a look here at the Frost Pups. And they have Frostbite. They can slow things down in melee. Minus 36 speed, not bad. They also cause fear, and they are considered large targets. So the anti-infantry bonuses that the chariots will get really mean nothing to them. They're also very fast. 95 speed. They're actually faster than the Chaos's Marauder Horsemen. These are the throwing axe variant, so better armor piercing values for them. And let's see, there's 1, 2. Are there only 2 on the field? Yes, so only 2 of those, but they're a skirmisher cav. They're going to be very good at kiting. But yeah, Norscan Ice Wolves just straight up are faster, and if they get into melee at all with them, they are going to slow them down and ride them down. So what else do we have going on? So Throgg here, let's see. Throgg is bringing with him, he has his copious vomit, so hopefully we'll get to see that at some point. Strong versus a single unit, powerful explosion, and for those of you who aren't aware, Throgg is a troll, so he regenerates, and he has really good regeneration. He's weak to fire, but there isn't any fire on the battlefield. He also has fight or die, so plus 26 melee attack and some leadership will be very good if he's standing in the core of his army, providing that leadership. Kholek, on the other hand, is stripped down. All I see on him is his Lord of the Storm ability, and we can take a look at Kholek for those of you who've never seen his model before. He is enormous. I think he's the biggest modeled lord in the game. It's possible that maybe some of the mammoth riding lords are potentially bigger, but he's a pretty intimidating combatant, and his mass is such that he can throw a unit like Throgg, who if you look at his size compared to a man, he is enormous. And these aren't even just regular men. Look at these dudes. They're like super steroided up human beings, and he's just enormous compared to them, and then Kholek is huge even compared to him. And of course, we should not forget we have the Soul Crusher. So the Regiment of Renown War Mammoth, unique because of its trait. It's called Enrage, and it gives him a 22-second, 44% damage resistance buff. It has a 90-second cooldown. You can usually use it 2 to 3 times in a battle. Unfortunately, the Soul Crusher is a bit of an enormous target, and against units like the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, and these types of Chosen with halberds, as well as even, honestly, Kholek Suneater, it can have a difficult time finding a home. It really just wants to sit in large blobs of infantry and tear them up. So, early on when I mentioned that these builds were similar, and they certainly are in their compositions, the thing that is the most similar is the use of the Shaman Sorcerer with the Lore of Death. Going to be taking Fate Abuna as well as Spirit Leech. One is a damage over time ability that affects large groups of infantry, so would be great against any of these Chaos Warriors or Chosen. The other is Spirit Leech, which is a damage over time ability that's great versus single targets or groups that have very low unit models and high health, like the Chaos Chariots, for instance. So each army has one, and they're each looking to use it on their respective targets. And unique for these two factions is the fact that none of them can heal. Spirit Leeching Throgg is not good because he is honestly the only thing on the battlefield that can heal. So you Spirit Leech him, he regens it up, and you lose a lot of value that way. But if you Spirit Leech something like, let's say, the Soul Crusher or the opposing Shaman Sorcerer of Death, then you can get a lot of value. And a pretty common tactic is against Kholek to just Spirit Leech him down. He's so difficult to take out by normal means in combat that Spirit Leeching him is often kind of the only way to bring him down. Alright, so the Chaos player is trying to do a bit of skirmishing with the throwing axes, and that would normally be going great for him. Honestly, he wants these juicy Marauder champions who have 80 armor. They have great armor piercing, but these guys don't have shields. The standard Marauder champions do, but these ones do not. If he were able to burst them down before the front lines meet, that would be great for him. But excellent screening here from Triiari, using the Norscan Ice Wolves in the front line before the two front lines meet to shield his units from all that missile fire. And you see there, he did that without taking much damage at all. So that was just a single volley. Looks like it did about 5+% damage to them. If they were able to do that through the entire advance, he would have lost quite a few unit models before the battle even started. So he's going to want to go up and around with these Ice Wolves, perhaps try and block charges from the chariots, perhaps try and tie down the Marauder Horsemen, if at all possible. So here the Famir are getting out and ahead, and they're going to break the lines of these Chaos Warriors, get killed right off the bat. And you'll see there, Fata Buna going off on the Chosen with Halberds, an excellent target, and the other Fata Buna going off on these Famir Warriors with great weapons. So an exchange of magic there right at the beginning. Pretty much exactly what I expected. The Marauders going a bit up and around, not wanting to take a completely square engagement. Spirit Leech going up on the Soul Crusher. So the thing about Marauder units, the longer they stay in combat, they get many perks. Physical resistance, I think they get bigger in leadership. So you want to leave them in combat as long as possible and hope that they don't break. These Famir were the ones that received the Fata Buna, and they're already breaking. That Lord of the Storm there got a few kills for Kholek. Kholek's coming in here and he bullied these Famir, pushed them out of the battle. The chariots charged in, looking to break the infantry. Soul Crusher, however, with the new attribute for the mammoths, that is Strider, they can just walk through infantry and do damage. It's pretty brutal to watch, and they don't care about all the armor that the Chaos Warriors have. They'll just kill them. The Norscan Ice Wolves here being committed, I think honestly just to support Throgg. Throgg is trying to trade with Kholek, and that is a difficult thing to do. They're very similar. I think if they stood and fought each other, Kholek would definitely win, but Throgg could put up a fight. His regen kind of putting him over the edge there. Another Spirit Leech going off on Soul Crusher, who has an enormous HP pool, but against certain targets he will melt. So you see these Norscan Ice Wolves getting in the back line, trying to clean up the scraps. Honestly, it's a good strategy. These chariots are running wild, going to be charging into the back line of these Marauder champions. But Kholek here is just crushing the side of the Soul Crusher. Yeah, huge armor piercing weapon strength on Kholek, 540, which is huge. And then right over on this nice little hill position, these Marauder horsemen have just the broadest side of a barn that they could possibly throw at in the form of Soul Crusher. And to top that off, he's also surrounded by Chosen with Halberds, who a single unit of these could probably just kill a Soul Crusher. He needs to move him out of here, and I think before he's going to get a chance to do it himself, the Soul Crusher is going to break at the last moment, right before it frees itself, and will leave the kind of pit of combat that it was stuck in for a moment, which is honestly good for it. If I was the Chaos player, I would probably take these chariots and try and chase it off. A Spirit Leech perhaps could finish the job. The Norscan Ice Wolves finally got up and around, and they're going to be tearing up these Marauders who are throwing spears at them in point-blank range. They're also tying down the Chaos Sorcerer of Death, who's actually putting up a fight. It looks like he's killed a few dogs on his own. Not to be underestimated, the Chaos casters have decent armor if you put them on a horse, and they can fight. But in the meantime, the Norscan caster has been dropping Spirit Leeches on Kholek, and Throgg has gotten in a few good hits, and now they're kind of facing each other, big hammer versus big hammer, and Kholek is the one who's going to break first. Throgg's regen really paying off, keeping him in the fight. Chaos using these throwing axes now to focus down Throgg. But if they're not able to rally Kholek, that leadership hit will be brutal. And these Norscan Ice Wolves now, who were pretty much breaking before, they're wavering currently, are going to have a decent fight against the Chaos Sorcerer, the only last bit of leadership that Chaos does still possess. So Throgg is broken. They do need to keep him alive if at all possible. But Kholek is going to run off the battlefield here. It looks like he's trying to regain his leadership, but he's so close to the edge, I think he's just gone. And there he goes. And Chaos takes a pretty big leadership penalty from that. Soul Crusher's coming back in. He looks like he's nearly dead, but he still has 2100 HP, which is quite a lot. And he is just terror bombing all of them, popping his Enrage before he even gets into the fight. That's going to be it. Honestly, had the Chaos Forces been able to just stand and fight, I think they still had the edge. They could have used their chariot to chase off Throgg, or their horsemen. And those chosen with halberds, I've seen them fight to the last man. And even against an enraged Soul Crusher, I think they still probably had an edge there. But excellent play from both players, of very similar builds for their respective races. And it was essentially a Spirit Leech Fate Abuna battle. And CA has nerfed both of those spells over the years, and I think rightly so, especially Fate Abuna, which was very oppressive in the multiplayer scene. Essentially, it prevented anyone from ever wanting to take any of the cool Regiment of Renown type units. If you took a unit that cost 1900 gold, like let's say the Fireborn, and you were up against Chaos, before the Fireborn were even able to charge into battle, your opponent would just, cast a Fate Abuna on you. You lose half your unit models. Kholek charges in and they break, and he's like, well, I could have bought 4 spearmen for that, and had a much wider army, but instead I got dumpstered by 1 spell and a charge. So, rightly so, they nerfed them, but you'll see here they're still seeing play in the competitive scene, and yeah, great play from both people. The Chaos player tried to make those chariots work. There just wasn't enough infantry for them to find a home. And honestly, Famir warriors with great weapons are excellent at screening them out and beating them down. Yeah, it's really just a tale of who could Spirit Leech the most valuable target. And fortunately for Triiari, Throgg heals, so he wasn't a great target, forcing them to kind of use all that Winds of Magic on Soul Crusher, whereas he was able just to constantly Spirit Leech down Kholek. I think he got 3 casts in total off on him, as well as Fate Abuna helping to probably crush these halberds, which is why you'll see the kills are so low. But anyway, guys, once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this cast. If you're watching this at home and you have some good replays, some very recent replays that you would like to see put up on the channel, you want me to cast, I would appreciate it, man. Just go ahead and add me on Steam, Good Talk Gaming. I will see your friendship request. Let me know in a little message, hey, I've got some replays for you, and I'll give you my email. You can send me those replays just like Triiari has, just like Witch King of Agmar has, and I will watch it and cast it, and it'll make it up onto the channel. And if you like that kind of thing, yeah, I'm there for you guys. So without any further ado, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.